Welcome back to Nolly Recap Hub. Today we're diving into one of the most intense Yoruba supernatural dramas on YouTube, the story of Koleoso. Season 1 begins by introducing us to a feared and mysterious spiritualist named Osogbemi. This is not your regular father. Osogbemi firmly believes that in this world, only those with deep spiritual power can truly survive. Because of this dangerous belief, he raises his 3 children under extremely harsh conditions, forcing them to master powerful Yoruba mystical abilities from a very young age. But among the 3 children, Koleoso, Osogbemi, and Efun, one quickly stands out: Koleoso. From the very beginning, there is something different about him, something darker. Unlike his siblings, Koleoso does not struggle with the harsh spiritual training their father forces on them. Instead, he adapts quickly, almost too quickly. As time goes on, his powers begin to grow at an alarming rate. Even Osogbemi starts to notice that this son of his may become something far more dangerous than he originally planned. While the other children are still learning control, Koleoso is already showing signs of dominance and a growing taste for fear. And that is where the real danger begins. As the training becomes more intense, Koleoso begins to display abilities that shock even the elders around Osogbemi. His movements become more precise, his confidence grows stronger, and his fear of consequences slowly disappears. What was supposed to be training for protection is now starting to shape something much more dangerous. Koleoso is no longer just learning power. He is beginning to enjoy the fear his strength creates in others. This shift does not go completely unnoticed. Within the family, quiet tension starts to build. Osogbemi, the sharp and highly observant sister, watches Koleoso very closely. She is intelligent, calculating, and always thinking several steps ahead. Meanwhile, Efun remains more reserved, often caught between loyalty to the family and discomfort with the darkness growing around them. And slowly, the balance inside the family begins to change. Tommy's household appears unstoppable. Their name begins to spread quietly, not just in the physical world, but in the spiritual realm as well. People whisper about the strange protection surrounding the family and the terrifying strength of Osogbemi's son. Koleoso's reputation grows fast. Tall, fearless, and emotionally distant, he begins stepping into situations with boldness that even surprises his father. There are moments where it feels like Osogbemi is no longer the most dangerous person in the room. But just when the family seems fully in control, a new force emerges. A man named Jaweshoro. Unlike ordinary rivals, Jaweshoro is spiritually fortified, ruthless, and equally obsessed with dominance. His presence alone signals that a serious confrontation is coming, and for the first time, the balance of power begins to shake. Jaweshoro is not intimidated by Osogbemi's reputation. In fact, he welcomes the challenge. Known for his fierce spiritual defenses and commanding presence, he has built his own circle of influence and power. But the real spark that ignites the conflict is a woman named Osu. Osu becomes the center of a dangerous dispute when it is revealed that Jaweshoro had already forcefully betrothed her to himself. In his eyes, she belongs to him, spiritually and physically. However, circumstances begin to shift when Koleoso's side becomes connected to her situation. What could have remained a personal matter quickly turns into something much bigger. A clash of pride, dominance,
and supernatural authority. And once pride enters the equation, war is never far behind.
As tensions rise over Osu, the atmosphere around both camps becomes dangerously unstable. What started as quiet rivalry is now slowly transforming into open spiritual hostility. Koleoso himself begins stepping forward more boldly. Tall, cold-eyed, and increasingly fearless, he carries himself like someone who no longer sees many people as a real threat. His confidence is no longer just noticeable, it is intimidating. Even within Osogbemi's household, there are subtle moments of concern. Koleoso is growing stronger, yes, but he is also becoming more aggressive and less restrained. Meanwhile, Jawashoro is not backing down either. Both sides begin preparing quietly, each aware that the situation with Osu may soon trigger something far more dangerous than anyone initially expected. And the closer they move toward confrontation, the darker things begin to feel. As the rivalry deepens, the spiritual tension between Osogbemi's household and Jawashoro's camp begins to affect everything around them. Strange events start happening. Whispers spread, and fear quietly grows among those who understand the kind of forces at play. Koleoso is no longer just the promising son in training. He is becoming the frontline weapon of the family. With his tall frame, steady posture, and those cold, unreadable eyes, he steps into conflicts with a level of boldness that even shocks his siblings. There is no hesitation in him anymore, only certainty. But power always comes with consequences. While these spiritual battles intensify, the physical world begins to notice unusual activities connected to Osogbemi. Rumors of criminal empowerment and dark influence reach the ears of authorities, and soon, attempts are made to step in. But stopping a family backed by deep spiritual forces is not going to be easy. Authorities begin making quiet moves against Osogbemi, hoping to cut off the growing influence surrounding his household. But every attempt to close in meets strange resistance. Operations fail, plans collapse, and it quickly becomes clear that ordinary law enforcement is not fully prepared for the kind of supernatural protection covering this family. Meanwhile, the situation between Koleoso's camp and Jawashoro continues to heat up. Pride, power, and spiritual dominance are now fully on the line. Koleoso himself appears more dangerous than ever. The tall, cold-eyed warrior who once trained under his father is now stepping forward like a force that cannot easily be controlled. His presence alone begins to shift the balance of fear between both camps. And by now, everyone can feel it. A major spiritual confrontation.
And trust me, this is only the beginning. Because if you think Season 1 was intense, Season 2 takes the conflict to an entirely different level. The rivalry between Koleoso and Jawashoro is far from over, and the spiritual battles ahead will test loyalties, power, and survival itself. Koleoso is still growing stronger, and the question now is no longer whether he is powerful. The real question is, who can actually stop him? If you want the full breakdown of Season 2 as soon as it drops on this channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Nolly Recap Hub, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next explosive recap. Because here, we don't just watch Nollywood, we break it down.